I believe the quality of a shot is more than its cinematography. More importantly, it's what you do with the shot and how it's incorporated into the final product. Clever cuts, time jumps, and smooth transitions can all be yours if you follow these key points. Always follow the momentum on screen, be it the way the camera is moving or the elements on screen are moving. Making cuts is an art, not a guessing game. Most importantly, the shots need to have purpose. Be it if you follow the grain or go against it, a good shot is one that we don't have to think about. Follow the momentum, cut with the action, and follow this tutorial for how this very sequence was shot together.
Hello. So I'm just going to talk over top of me editing the intro to this tutorial and give some points on basically what I was thinking when I made it and what goes into editing and cutting specifically. I didn't focus on audio at all, and that's why the audio in the intro is not great, but beyond that. So I've just went to 0 and started the video. So I begin by making my first cut, I think, at the end of this, and I start working on the door. I'll go back later and fix the start and make it more appealing. So I start after a blink because it doesn't look great really to start after somebody blinks. If their eyes are open and then they blink and then they blink again and start talking, it seems a little disconnected. So skipping seconds like that is important, and that's hard to catch when you start a camera, especially because when somebody starts a camera, then like you think about it. So basically here I separated the audio, so the door clip and me walking out the door, me grabbing the door, won't be different to the ears, even though the cut will be sudden. So that's just a different technique on how you can make things smoother when they need to go quick. So whenever thing needs to happen fast, you can make the audio overlap, especially when the audio in one goes down and the audio in another starts and goes up. Then you can just put them together and it basically sounds no different. And put the cut right in the middle, and ta-da. And I'm just doing a lot of reworking so that we catch it at the moment of momentum, so that the exact thing of pressure changes. So I go forward, and then I want to find the exact moment where my hand is in the same place, or one frame apart, pardon. Yeah. I used to do a lot of editing when I would make a lot of shorts, and making cuts is really important when you're doing like anything with a lot of shots. The cuts, if you have two or three, let's say, mistakes wherein you've cut way off, noticeably off, like sound and momentum off, and it's noticeable, no matter how good the rest of it was, or how forgivable, is a better term, how forgivable the rest of it was, it doesn't really matter, because those three errors really hurt. So every time it needs to be important, and if every single cut is unnoticeable and smooth, then it's like a flowing experience all the way to the end, and you're left running. You're not left with an absence of momentum. Yeah. Like, as far as how to do this, I'm changing the speeds on certain things, or I will eventually. I have been, I believe, by changing the speed duration and going up about 30% or down 30%, just aligning it with the next shot, since different shots are normally, these ones were about 30 minutes apart, 25 minutes apart. So since they were separate like that, clearly it was impossible to line up my exact motions. especially because you can't really look at it on a camera and know where you're going to start going and where you want to start it. So changing the speed very slightly, just 20% up and down, can be a world of difference in making the momentum flow and make it really feel like you have this weird perspective. And that's the end of the first video. Second video I will now start. So I'm just pulling the thing now. Okay, I'm doing that so I can line up this audio. Yeah, like right here on this turn, I do a lot of work on this turn, and I think it's important because the camera is right like here in front of me, and the camera now is looking at where the camera was just before. So that's, if this cut can work in a good way, the camera will be invisible, and the cameraman then will be implied to be invisible, and we'll forget there's a camera, we'll forget there's even a perspective, we'll forget our perspective and view the character's perspective. Well, not really playing a character, but we'll view the person's perspective, or at least the perspective they're trying to give us. And that, the way cutting and changing the speed and going back and forth really, 5 or 6 times just for a couple frames is really important, because if you can find the up and then change it right as the next frame goes down, like, it simply flows in a very natural way. I'm not sure how long this takes for me to fix it. I wouldn't want to unsync my audio by changing it, but that was pretty good. You can see, if you noticed, that where I just fell, the gravity, I went up and then I was pushed down by gravity as I stepped down in the next shot, and the cameraman's invisible right there. And then here we have the shot of a skit that I've made in the past, which is not very good for if cut, as I'm implied to be not the place that I was just implied to be. So that's a complete disconnect of momentum, which you can do, but not with the same character if you're trying to elicit linear time. If you're going from time from straight forward at the normal rate and you show a character in a place that they just weren't, you're not only messing with time, you're messing with, where they were. So you're putting them in a place that they weren't. That's a continuity error with your characters, and they're supposed to be the thing that notice the continuity. So if your character can't notice the continuity and act like it, then there's no way the audience will. That's very important. Going over here at the end, trying to get it at a good point. I'm going to resize this video here so it fills the screen. Yeah. And then I'm going to go back to the beginning and fix the cut with the eyes where I blink after. And you can notice, if you watch, when I go back to the beginning after I fix this, watch for how awkward the, I accidentally render here. I believe I go back to the eyes. If I don't, I'm mistaken and I apologize. But if I go back to the eyes, just watch where the blink really happens. Like, it was missed then by me, but it's awkward. And we see like 2 frames spread over 2 frames, this blink. And it's awkward because that's not where I intended to start. So if you don't start where I intended to start, okay, so it actually wasn't, I did miss it. If you don't intend to, if the actor, the person on camera doesn't start and the scene starts at the same time, if that's a disconnect, the audience will have a disconnect. And connection, a relationship between the entire thing is what's important. So thank you.